Welcome back to Kinda Funny's MCU in Review rewatch. Of course, I'm Tim Geddes, and I'm joined by the Nitro Rifle, Andy Cortez.
Great afternoon.
Great afternoon to you as well. We have the producer / seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Hold on, Tim. I'll be right there. Did it work?
For audio listeners.
How cool would it be if I did that and then we planned it that I was at Tim's house right now and this is a freaking.
That would be awesome.
Fantastic.
That
would have been dope.
Audio listeners, he swung his hand around like Dr. Strange.
They got it.
You were supposed to,
Andy, you were supposed to do the sound effect. Ready? Let me do it again. Ready? Andy, do the sound effect. Ready? Tim, I'll be right there. Wait, did you do a velociraptor dying?
I did the baby T-Rex.
That was the baby T-Rex.
Baby T-Rex, yeah.
Oh, man. I was expecting a Dormammu from you, Nick, but I'm sure we'll get many of them later in the episode, so we don't need it yet.
No, Dormammu is the old one, Tim. The new one is Camertage.
That was an old one, too. That was an old one.
Yeah. What's old is new again. Isn't that right? Game Over Greggy himself, Greg Miller.
That's right, Tim Geddes. Here we are for the re-review.
And rounding out the group today is the big dog, Kevin Coelho.
I was going to work on something, but I didn't have enough time. Damn it. Nick,
what do you want to give yourself?
I was going to do it and have an effect go on.
Oh.
I wasn't fast enough. Never mind.
You managed to get an effect together that quickly. I would have been blown.
That would have been incredible.
I would have been like an all-timer for Kevin Coelho.
I mean, I think I could have. I was so close.
The whole stream would have shut down, but it would have been great.
We all would have been muted. We would have gone on live on YouTube.
Of course, this is Kinda Funny's in Review, where every week we get together to rank, review, and recap different movie franchises. Right now, we're doing a rewatch of Doctor Strange because next week it's time for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, continuing our MCU in Review, the first ever in review show that we ever did. Very exciting stuff. You can get it on youtube.com/kindafunny or roosterteeth.com. You can also get it as a podcast by searching your favorite podcast service for Kinda Funny in Review, and we'll be right there for you. If you wanted to get the show ad-free and wanted to watch live as we record it, you got to go to patreon.com/kindafunny, just like our Patreon producers, Molecule, Fargo Brady, Pranksy, and Anonymous have all done. We appreciate all of you so very, very much. Today, we're brought to you by Lumen Skin, Brother Printers, and Razer. But I'll tell you all about that later. Let's get right into it. Doctor Strange. It was released on November 14th, 2016, making this the second movie in phase 3 of the MCU. It's also the first time ever we got the MCU fanfare intro. Isn't that kind of wild to think about? Because before it, there was one with music from Brian Tyler. And it was like a lot shorter, and it was just the comic book flippy stuff.
Yeah, I love that.
It just went really quick, but yeah, now we get the whole fancy stuff. It is also the first of 5 appearances of Dr. Stephen Strange in the MCU, which is crazy to think about. This is one of the longest gaps between movie franchise sequels, but definitely have seen a lot of him in all the different movies from Infinity War, Endgame, No Way Home, Thor Ragnarok, so many appearances. And also What If, he was a main focus in that. And he's been referenced in so many different movies, dating all the way back to Spider-Man 2, the Tobey Maguire one. And then also this Doctor Strange officially was referenced in Winter Soldier and other movies as well. Had a runtime of 1 hour and 55 minutes and was directed by Scott Derrickson, who is known for a lot of smaller horror titles. He did Sinister and Sinister 2, or at least wrote Sinister 2. He also did Doctor Strange that we're talking about today, and he's doing the upcoming movie The Black Phone that just screened last night at CinemaCon.
Crazy.
And people are raving about it being a
phone or foam?
Phone.
Okay.
You should check out the trailer for this, Greg. It's a real cool looking horror movie that looks scary as all shit.
Looks
and
fun.
it's getting really
quiet for a couple of minutes while I watch it.
It's getting really good.
Ethan Hawke's in it.
Yeah, Ethan Hawke's the Hawkwatch, man.
He's 2 minutes and 56 seconds. Everybody shut up.
Let's just watch. But anyways, let's react to Greg reacting to it.
Oh.
Wow, he's scared. He's scared, Nick.
I'm not. Yeah, this is like some fucking Stranger Things looking kid.
It's an ad.
Nah, hearing about Quick Toothbrush.
That comes out June 24th. That comes out and it looks really good. But he was supposed to do Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but he was let go from that pretty early on. In January 2020, Marvel Studios and Derrickson announced that he would no longer direct the film due to creative differences. In separate statements, they both said they were thankful for their collaboration so far. Eventually, Sam Raimi would take it up.
That is such a divorce statement, Tim.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, like we're happy for each other, you know.
He remained on as executive producer of the film, so it's not totally like a full-on divorce or anything.
Edgar Wright thing, right? Because he was a full divorce, right?
That was more. I don't remember. I'm sure he kept some credits. I don't know if he got executive producer on that.
He salted the earth, insulted him and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe.
Good.
But anyways, Derrickson, what's cool about him is he actually spent a lot of his own money on a concept video that he pitched to Marvel to get Doctor Strange 1. And it worked out. So pretty damn cool. He's a really big fan of the character in the comics. And he did something. He said something that was pretty cool.
That'd be cool to watch.
I don't think so. No. Yeah.
Kevin, hack his iPod. You'll get it.
Scott Derrickson describes this film as enabling a Marvel Comics multiverse to exist. He says, what we've wanted from the beginning was to bring in these other dimensions and realities, which is something Doctor Strange can do. Much like how the early Doctor Strange comics broke open the Marvel comic book universe into the Marvel multiverse, this film serves the same function. In the comics, it ended up being decades of new stories, and I think this movie will do the same thing. And he said that back in 2016. That's cool as shit, because here we are. The music was done by who? Nick Scarpino?
Michael Giacchino.
Fuck yeah, dude. Good. The goddamn goat. Bringing it once again. I love the score to this movie. I love Doctor Strange theme. I love how widely it can just go from like the Baroque sounds to this like psychedelic to the freaking like Eastern Asian influences. It's like so goddamn good. I absolutely love it. I'm a little worried about Doctor Strange 2. It's being done by Danny Elfman. And I got to say, when Danny Elfman takes other people's scores and kind of adapts them to be his own, I'm not always the biggest fan. He did Avengers Age of Ultron and ruined the Avengers theme, which I thought was impossible. So we'll have to wait and see. Budget of $236 million, and that includes marketing, and a box office of $677.7 million. And it received an Academy Award and nomination for Best Visual Effects.
Well earned.
Well earned. Andy Cortez. Oh, go for it.
I'm shocked it didn't win that. It should have won.
I know.
That. Maybe it was one of those stupid Hobbit movies that came out that Andy's always going on and on about.
Oh, look at my ring.
What's all right? Some wheelbarrows.
I'm hungry and I have a ring. It's heavy, Master Frodo.
I didn't have to be here. I didn't have to be here.
All the potatoes are cut in half.
Actually,
why are they Irish? Oh,
these fucking suck, Andy.
He's right, Andy.
Oh, crap. Andy, before I get to you, while we're talking about visual effects, I'm going to drop some facts here. According to Kevin Feige, the concept of magic in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is inspired by The Matrix and Hayao Miyazaki movies. Have you watched the Cosmos series? That's magic, the quantum physics. If somebody knew how to tap into that stuff, what's the difference between that and magic? You don't get it in Harry Potter, but if a scientist went to Hogwarts, you'd find out how some of that stuff is happening. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but there will be some of that particularly for a character like Doctor Strange, who goes from a man of science to a man of faith and who traverses both worlds. And sometimes there won't be an answer. Sometimes he'll want an answer. How's this happening? And nothing, said Feige. Pretty cool. And then the effects part of it is the VFX experts at ILM developed a concept that the only other living things that can detect alternate dimensions besides humans are pigeons and cats. If you watch the film, you can spot a few moments where cats and pigeons react based on the mirror dimension events, and no one else is reacting to it. It's kind of fun.
So do cats, are cats and pigeons just constantly terrified of everything they're seeing in the mirror dimension with the buildings folding into each other?
Yeah, and continuing to read the interview about that stuff, they were saying they were trying to explain why cats are so fucking weird, and they're always just kind of like,
makes sense.
Yeah.
Andy,
what'd you think?
I think this movie is pretty cool, Tim. It's a cool movie. I think visually it's super. I think it's super interesting visually. I Still feel kind of the same feelings that I had the first couple times watching this movie. It's just that I I, I think it's purposeful to kind of have to differentiate Strange from Tony Stark by making him more of an asshole. Like that's more of the arc here as opposed to just somebody who's kind of cocky and interested in their own in I guess in their self-interests. Stephen Strange has to be more of a jerk to kind of make him a tiny bit more different. And I don't know if it necessarily plays super great. I think I think the comedy surprisingly works a bit for me here, but there's a couple moments that just kind of make me roll my eyes. And kind of whenever you hear people insult Marvel movies and how the comedy always has to come in and ruin a moment, I never necessarily agree with it until like watching this movie when the caller like wipes his chin and stuff. It's like we had such a good moment right now. We were I was motivated and stoked, and it's little things like that that just kind of like it's hard for me not to roll my eyes and go, you didn't have to put that in. That could have been a deleted scene. Other than that, I think Tilda Swinton's fantastic. I think Mads doesn't get utilized enough, and he's still in the movie, right? He's still this force, this kind of evil asshole. But I want him to be more of a villain in this movie. I think he would have been. I think it would have been a smart decision to have him kind of be the big bad in the way that Thanos always got screen time. I think he's just that damn good of a performer.
Kevin Coelho, what are your thoughts?
I really, really enjoy this movie. The humor gets me. I get what Andy's saying, and I feel like there are moments like the Beyonce joke just doesn't hit, and it feels like they cut something else out to like build that joke up that he does. But then like the moment where he gets wiped by the cape wipes him, I think it's fine. I think it's funny, but like what's even better is his reaction afterwards of being like, no, like he waits a minute and he keeps going and he like looks at it, it's like, stop. It's just something about that humor gets me so perfectly. I also
what's it get you?
Gets me so hard.
I also really like that Dormammu is the like big boss that he has to fight at the end, and then he has to use his wits. He like actually has to fight him, and it's not just like, oh hey, here's a bad wizard.
Yeah.
So I think that breaks from the mold of just like, oh, he's just fighting another like copy of himself. And the whole buildup of it all is really clever. The effects when they go and he turns back time and everything is kind of like rebuilding himself around him and like sees all these people like dying and undying, I guess. I think that's freaking awesome. Yeah, I mean, I love this movie. I legit, like, I think it's a top tier movie. And I'm hopeful that the second one it's got that same magic.
Yeah.
Craig
Miller.
Phrase.
This is the most I've ever enjoyed this movie. I think I enjoy it more every time I watch it, and this was no exception. But what was interesting is going in, I was like, oh yeah, I remember Doctor Strange, like the movie, not the character. But it was like I've seen so much of him coming off of Spider-Man, coming off of Infinity War and Endgame, obviously, right? To what you talked about, Tim, and how much we've seen of him. I really forgot how special this movie was and how gorgeous this movie was and how great the visual effects were and how great the acting was. And like, the things I jotted down, right, was like, I forgot that opening segment with Tilda in the mirror dimension and like how they debuted that and how they showed that and how they had her running through and fighting and then, walking out into the streets and being just out there again. Right. Like I forgot how good Benedict Cumberbatch is, especially in the throughout the entire movie, but like his performance in the hospital bed, right, when he wakes up and stuff, and like him crying and having all the pins in his hands, and like you feel his abject horror, right, of seeing this and feeling like he was butchered, and then also coming to terms with this. I felt like his pain, if that makes sense. Like there was that. It's I was. This is the most I ever enjoyed this movie, and I think it comes from forgetting how much I like this movie or forgetting how good this movie was. And maybe even, just seeing Doctor Strange and a bunch of other stuff and be like, oh yeah, I get it. Spins his hand and does the thing. But to go back and see a lot of it. I totally had forgotten how much they mentioned the multiverse in this. The multiverse is mentioned every other goddamn sentence in this, but it's been so long and so much has happened in the MCU that I totally forgot that. I'm really glad we're doing this rewatch, and I really had a good time with it.
Nick Scarpino.
Yeah, I'm right there with Greg. I mean, I liked this movie when we first came out of the theaters just because I feel like it was unique amongst all the standalone MCU movies, like the origin story movies, largely because the Stephen Strange character, I think, has the farthest to go out of any of the characters that we've seen so far. He starts as just a really egotistical dick. And I mean, granted, he has great taste in music. Shout out to Chuck Mangione and that reference of the flugelhorn, which, if you guys don't know, I always wanted to play the flugelhorn. And my band director was like, "We're not buying a flugelhorn for you to play." And I was like, "Cool." I guess
like you can only be so much of a loser.
It's like really, that's it's like I'm just looking out for you, Big Nick. But I do think this movie is absolutely strengthened by the fact that now the multiverse is going to be a big part of the MCU going forward in the next phases. And I think that, you know, seeing Loki and seeing everything that's happened there, and this really is the foundation for a lot of that. And you know, the new Spider-Man movie and all that stuff. So it's cool. And I just think that I'll agree with Andy. Some of the humor doesn't hit for me. I think it kind of feels out of place here and there, but the visuals, what we're seeing here, we had never seen before going into a Marvel movie. And I just think the kaleidoscope aspect of all the visuals is stunning. I haven't seen anything like that in a movie since. And I am a sucker for that, like, Baroque harpsichord score. And I honestly think, as I watched it again, I was like, man, I remember them using this a lot more. They were so conservative using that score in this. It's only in those weird touches where he becomes Doctor Strange and you kind of hear it. Like, there's that great last scene where he throws the cape over him as he's walking up the stairs, and you just kind of hear it kind of come in a little bit. I'm like, dude, you guys could have leaned into that way more, because it really has a unique vibe amongst all superhero movies. It's very, very, very much just Doctor Strange, and I appreciate it for that.
Yep. I am just going to echo what everyone's saying, and I'm so happy you guys are on this page. I wasn't necessarily expecting it, but I really think that this movie is a lot better than people give it credit for. Like, I think that it is so important to the MCU, and looking back at it now, when we have seen Strange evolve so much over the last 5 movies we've seen him in, but not just him as a character, like all the things that this movie introduces, this magic element, the idea of the different dimensions, the different realities, multiverse, all those concepts, but even just things that now are just obvious visual identity stuff visual language stuff that we know, like portals, right? How they work, the sling ring, the different types of weapons, how all the magic actually works, how you can learn the magic, the introduction of the time stone being an infinity stone, like all of this stuff just is so, I think, expertly designed as a movie to introduce you. And I think when we watched it for the first time, it was just kind of a lot of stuff, and it kind of just felt like, all right, cool. There's this that leads to this, that leads to this. Cool. But rewatching it now with the context of how much influence all these elements have on the universe, it's like, wow, they really did a great job of kind of doing a magic for dummies in this movie, and using Strange as this character that is being introduced to the world the same way we are, and getting the training montage, essentially getting all these big moments, and for it to end not with the mimic fight of him versus Mads Mikkelsen, but to get that fight with the Ancient One, and then also get the Dormammu fight of him going up against a god, because he is that smart and he does have this wit to him, and that is really his strength. So when you add that knowledge to this ridiculous amount of power with the magic stuff, that's where you get to Sorcerer Supreme levels. And like that, I think they did a great job of kind of giving him such a fantastic character rise in this one film that we can appreciate a lot more now looking back on it.
Yeah.
I think the weaker elements of this movie are definitely the villain, in terms of the story of it, where it kind of just amounts to he's angry and turned on people, and it's a story we've seen a million times, and I don't think this did it better in any way. And it kind of was a waste of Mads, because he's just so damn good. I don't think it was bad. It all worked, but I just don't think it was a particular highlight of the film. And the comedy, to me, I'm a little all over on. I feel like some things make me cringe more than I normally do during MCU comedy stuff, like the Wong laughing at the end when Strange makes a joke. Like,
If only
it's
I
just
chuckled, just a little.
it's just
chuckle would be
weird. There's
fine.
something about it that I'm like,
Yeah.
damn it, man. Like this kind of lessens it for me. But like, honestly, those are my criticisms. Like everything else, I think this movie's really special. Like it having the score that I love so much. Like this is one of the first, if not the first time a Marvel movie introduced a character theme that was iconic from the jump. It took many movies for Captain America to have a theme that any of us recognized as Captain America's theme. Iron Man never even got one. Strange got it in this movie, and they've used it in every appearance he's had since. And I think that is very, very great and a necessary thing to build this world out. This movie's fucking awesome, and I can't wait to talk more about it. So without further ado, Andy, let's get to the plot.
I don't have a song.
Go for it, Nick.
Ladies and gentlemen, Doctor Strange. Camertage gets pwned by Le Chiffre from Casino Royale. They string up the librarian and cut his head off so they can get into the restricted area of the Hogwarts library. And I'll tell you guys, they want to do their Dormammu spell real bad. Cut over to Tilda Swinton.
Nick, real quick.
Yeah.
It didn't happen because there was a delay, but all those jokes hit. I want you to know that.
Those are mostly for you, Kevin. These fucking idiots over here don't understand that there's restricted area in the Hogwarts library.
Slack-jawed. They don't even know what you're saying.
Nick must be making references only 42-year-olds and 12-year-olds understand again. That's right, guys. That's my fucking demographic right there. Let's see. Tilda Swinton comes in, tells Caecilius that the ritual he is trying to do is just ripped out of the book will bring nothing but sorrow. She chases after them, and out we go from Camertage to London, where she traps them in the mirror dimension, and they fight. And I stand by the fact that these visuals are just some of the coolest we've still seen to this date in the MCU. Caecilius gets away from Tilda Swinton, who is bald. Cut over to Dr. Stephen Strange. Who knows
Thank you, Nick. Thank you. We needed that.
That was a reveal.
I was wondering.
Definitely not. She was wearing the hood, and then all of a sudden she takes it off, and she's bald. And I was like, oh, she's got scars in the back of her head. We're gonna get the payoff for that one day, and we never have.
Did you know that Tilda Swinton is bald in Doctor Strange? Like, wow, big Marvel facts right here that Nick's breaking.
Huge. That's what I bring to this table.
Did she go bald for it, or is this like a body double? What's happening, Nick?
That's a bald cap.
I don't know, actually. If only we had a podcast within a podcast to discuss head style costumes. God, dude. How many balls are we going to drop today, Andy? What's going on?
I'm not on it.
Is it a wig? I don't know.
But it's not a wig.
It out with Scarpino.
It's not a wig.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Wigging Out with Scarpino. I'm assuming, I would not put it past Tilda Swinton to have shaved her head down, but I don't think she would have bicked it like that. I'm pretty sure we're going to go with bald cap. We're going to go with bald cap. Let's see.
No, I have an answer.
What's that?
I have an answer.
Oh, go for it. What is it?
According to the independent.co.uk, Swinton shaved her head for the role of the Ancient One, a character who had been previously portrayed as an Asian male.
That's cool. She's dedicated to that.
Yeah. Great actor. Again, her comedy hits every time for me.
Well, she's phenomenal.
Did you ever hear I don't know if we ever talked about it on the show, but like, obviously there was some controversy, and Marvel kind of got attacked for like, why would you cast a white lady in a role that's usually an Asian dude?
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin Feige had mentioned that they were hesitant to cast an Asian person because they didn't want to feel like they kind of like purposely cast a white person so that they didn't feel that they were being stereotypical about it. Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, Scott Derrickson said he wanted the Ancient One to be an Asian woman, but they felt that it would be perceived as exploiting Asian fetish. He decided to cast a non-Asian actor in the role, but still to take the opportunity to cast an amazing actress in a male role. He thus wrote the role of the Ancient One, especially for Tilda Swinton, feeling she was the obvious choice for such a mystical and mysterious role.
And they do call it that she's Celtic, which is neat.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
she's not pretending to be another race, which I think is very good.
Yeah, that's incredibly important. I also think it's interesting because it does beg the question, like, can the Ancient One be anywhere, like from anywhere, right? Do they have to be from a specific lineage, or can like greatness come from anywhere? Again, a lot of Harry Potter references here, guys.
Anyone
We're throwing them at you. Exactly.
And you really reached for that one, Nick.
I know I did, Kevin. It was not good, but
And
then I was going to follow it up.
We
I was
could've
going to
just
follow it
moved
up with Raccoon Cooey. And if you get that joke, you've watched a different movie. Dr. Palmer knows a lot about Chuck Mangione and his cool flugelhorn, Greg, is what I wrote in here. Doctor Strange takes a bullet out of a dude's head freehand just to prove that he's better than Dr. Nick West, whose full name, it turns out, is Nicodemus.
What?
Did you know that?
Nicodemus.
What else is this dude in? He looks like he's been in a lot of
He was a
other
weird
stuff.
alien guy in Men in Black 3, and then I think he was on an HBO show for a while.
Boardwalk Empire.
Boardwalk Empire, yeah. He was on Boardwalk
Empire.
Empire. He
Yeah.
played
He's
one of the
great.
Nick,
gangsters
the
there.
flugelhorn, is it just a
There we go.
slightly smaller trumpet?
I think it's a slightly bigger trumpet.
Oh,
If memory serves correctly. I think it's,
Okay.
it's a deeper tone.
from the images, it looked smaller, but
Does it
it's
look smaller?
interesting.
Maybe I could. be
But
wrong
I
about
mean,
that.
it's not compared. But it's not compared to another trumpet, so it could just be
horn in
shaped.
hand. You gotta get the wrist shot of that. Yeah, it's bigger.
Got it. It's bigger, huh?
Yeah, it's way bigger. Type in flugelhorn in hand, and you'll see.
Glad we
I'm
looked it up.
upset you never got a flugelhorn. If I'm being honest,
Greg, can you get on Amazon and buy me a start? I don't need a silver one. Give me a starter flugelhorn with some rose gold, please.
have you seen the one with the curve? It's instead of the horn being straight, it like has a curve to it. It's pretty cool.
I've never seen that one. You can Google that. Give me that one if you want, Tim. Dr.
But
Palmer wants him.
before we get to the rest of this nonsense, let me tell you about our sponsors.
They're not coming back. The viewers are not coming
They're
back.
definitely coming back.
All right, guys, let's chat skincare. If your skincare routine is basically you washing your face in the shower with that one shower gel that you've been using since high school, then it's time to level up your skincare game. Because as it turns out, that regular body wash you've been using that you thought was good enough is probably damaging your skin. But thanks to Lumen, you can drop that bottle of 3-in-1 and start using products that actually take care of your skin. With Lumen, you get the highest quality products. All their products aim to help with those stubborn acne scars, under eye circles, wrinkles, sun damage, dry skin, oily skin, you name it, it's all there. Starting with Lumen is easy. All you have to do is take a 2-minute quiz on their website and they'll tell you exactly which routine is best for your skincare needs. Gia's been using the charcoal face wash and charcoal face scrub and she feels so fresh afterward. She has dry skin, so especially during the winter, it's nice to have that hydration and exfoliation. Also, she's a big fan of the really subtle citrus smell. Level up your skincare game with Lumen Skin today. Go to lumenskin.com/kindafunny to get your free trial of Lumen's products. That's LUMIN skin.com/kindafunny for a free trial. lumenskin.com/kindafunny. Hey computer people, announced at CES and available now, the latest generation of Razer Blades feature all new NVIDIA GeForce RTX 30 series GPUs and up to an RTX 3080 Ti featuring a suite of cutting-edge features to improve gameplay, including NVIDIA Reflex. NVIDIA Reflex delivers the ultimate competitive advantage, the lowest latency, the best responsiveness. Get the competitive edge you need at sub 25 milliseconds. And I asked the one, the only, the Nitro Rifle, Andy Cortez, is that good? And he said, ooh-wee, sub 25 milliseconds is great. And I said, that's fantastic. Acquire targets faster, react quicker, and increase aim precision in the most competitive games such as Apex Legends, Fortnite, Call of Duty, and more. Learn more about the Razer Blades powered by NVIDIA GPUs with NVIDIA Reflex technology at Razer.com. When I needed a printer, I turned to Twitter, and so many of you told me Brother was the way to go. For more than a year now, Jen and I have been using our Brother printer for immigration paperwork, baby paperwork, and a million other things. It's been great. But you know what printers need? Ink. And while it used to be a hassle to get ink, Brother's Refresh Easy print subscription has made it easy. The Brother Refresh Easy print subscription service is a printing plan that is based on the number of pages you print. You choose a monthly plan based on your print volume needs, color, black and white, and all print for one monthly cost. And instead of having to remember to buy replacement ink cartridges, your printer does the work for you through an intelligent ink and toner level monitoring feature that tracks the remaining amount of ink or toner and orders it before you run out. The Brother Refresh Easy print subscription service is a convenient, worry-free way to print. Each plan is flexible, and you can change or cancel your subscription at any time. So what are you waiting for? Stop running out of ink when you need it most and put your printer to work with the Brother Refresh Easy print subscription service by signing up at brother-usa.com/printwithrefresh. Again, that's brother-usa.com/printwithrefresh to sign up for the Brother Refresh Easy print subscription service and stop worrying about your ink levels.
I just want you to know, if you go to Google Trends, flugelhorn searches has just gone up
Through the roof.
from
Huge.
0 to at least
To 2.
dozen.
Man, I'll tell you guys from the right now. After we're done with this, we're gonna stop this podcast, and I'm gonna take you guys on a little bit of a journey for one, Mr. Chuck Mangione. Because if that doesn't make you want to just lay back on a sunny deck, have a cocktail, maybe smoke a little doobie, I don't know what will. I digress. Dr. Palmer wants him to be her head neurosurgeon at the ER, but he's like, dude, I'm doing Dr. House shit, and that's way more glorious than your dumb ER stuff. So take it in your pocket and stuff it. Strange and Palmer, of course, used to date. There's a little bit of tension here, and Strange wants to invite her to a speaking engagement, but she's like, that's boring as shit. So she blows him off. And he goes home and he dresses up and throws on one of his cool JLC watches, which is dope as shit. And he has the collection that I've always wanted. And then hops down the highway in his Lambo. Billy calls him with some cases. And he's like, now's the right time to look through these incredibly intricate case files on your fucking smart tablet in your Lambo while you're going 1,000 miles an hour. One of which, of course, is a hidden reference, not really a hidden reference, a little Easter egg reference to Rhodes, who was in, I think this is right after he was paralyzed in Civil War, right?
Mhm.
Cool Easter egg. And then Strange is like, oh, look at this right now. And of course, takes his eye off the road for 1 second, gets into head-on collision, and
if I
tumbles
can-
about 1 billion times. Yes,
This is one of my favorite things about his origin story is that it's just his own hubris.
Yep.
That's what takes him out. It's not
it.
some bigger thing like, Iron Man being abducted. It's not some grander cause like Captain America that he gets involved, right? It's just him being an idiot and looking at a text while driving.
Yep.
Like and him thinking he can do no wrong and drive a million miles and do this really complicated thing on his way to some hoity-toity convention speaking engagement. I always liked that a lot to really set the stage for who he is.
I do love, however, that sort of zoom in on the hands, right? And it's like here's where the damage
in
begins.
slow-mo. Yeah.
And then you're like, oh no, his hands are destroyed. And then the car hits fucking 90 rocks on the way down and spins a total of like 40 times. And you're like, oh, we got to worry about more than the hands right now. Like, he's
We got
just
bigger
dead.
problems, guys.
He's just dead. Yeah, there's no way that any human survives that sort of thing. Yeah, but at least it made him look sufficiently beat up.
Of course, he lives, but he'll never play the piano again. And then Palmer says, hey, she goes, no one could have done better. And he says, I could have
That's a
done
good
better.
moment. Good moment.
Strange
Really
spends,
good.
of course, all of his time.
Still a fucking asshole. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have done better. To which I would have replied, hey, man, did you see the footage of that crash? You're lucky the only thing is I got hurt with your hands. Like everything else has been perfect working condition. That car tumbled 1,000 times. Strange spends all of his time and money on experimental procedures, but there's only ever been one guy his PT knows that recovered completely from nerve damage. And he's like, well, why don't you find that guy for me? He goes, okay, I'll just find him just to shut your your egotistical ass up. Christine, of course, wants him to stop. She comes over with some soup and scissors. There are other things that can give your life meaning. And of course, he's in such a dark place and such an egotistical asshole. He says, like what? You? And then, of course, drives her away. But luckily, she left the soup she came in with. So things are looking pretty. Things are starting to look up for old Doctor Strange.
He's gonna slurp it with a little straw or something.
Just I can't even get the. You think he can't even get the cap off? He gets the file back from his personal trainer, or his physical therapist, rather. That's what PT means in this context, and finds Benjamin Bratt playing some
The
b-ball.
bell of the ball. Benjamin Bratt.
I'm
There he
Tom
is.
Lone.
I'm Tom Lone. And this one, he's Pangborn, tells him to go pound sand because back in the day when he was when he had his injury to his spine, Strange refused to see him because he knew he couldn't help him. There's no glory in that. But eventually, Pangborn relents and tells him to elevate his mind at a place called Kamertage. So we head over to Kathmandu, Nepal, where Strange searches far and wide for Kamertage by pretty much just saying the word to random people like an insane person until finally Chiwetel Ejiofor spots him, plays Mordo, and saves him from some thugs trying to rob him for his broken JLC watch. I love the watch metaphor, by the way.
It wasn't broken at that point, right? He broke it afterwards.
It's a good question. I thought because that was the watch he was wearing during the car crash. So that was the question I had for you guys. Did he break it in the car crash, or
I think it's here in the fight it gets broken.
is it in the fight? Okay.
Yeah, and Mordor is the place they go in the best movie franchise of all time, the best
Hobbits.
trilogy of
Couldn't
all
e-
time.
it
The
couldn't even
Lord of
beat
the
Clerks.
Rings.
You couldn't even beat Clerks.
Most Oscars ever, remember?
Derrickson said that the symbolism of the watch is a little heavy, I admit, but it works for me. It acknowledges that Strange still carries the brokenness that is himself with him.
Well,
I
it's
like
awesome.
when a
Yeah,
director's at
absolutely.
least able to like kind of like I get it, guys.
I went a
Like,
little hard, but
We
you
went a
know,
little
that's
hard on it. We went a little hard on it.
And then real quick, I just want to say, speaking to Derrickson, like him being a horror director, like there are a lot of moments in this movie, like with the editing and like the cuts and stuff that have that kind of jump scary moment, like even just like the crash itself when he's like looking at the text and it's just that split second of him looking at it and then he gets hit and the sound design is just like you're in a blender.
I love
It's
it.
cool shit.
I think that's so cool. Of course, Mordo takes him over to Kamertage, which looks a little run down, and he's like, "Hey, that other building over there." He's like, "Are you sure this is Kamertage?" Because that building looks more Kamertage-y. That one got me. Mordo gives him some advice.
Good. I'm glad it didn't.
It did. He goes, forget everything you think you know. Of course, Stephen mistakes a random person that's studying in there for the Ancient One, because, and then Tilda Swinton pops in and she knows a lot about him. He's like, what about Painborn? She goes, I didn't cure Painborn. He couldn't walk, and she convinced him that he could. Strange thinks that she's talking about cellular regeneration, but the Ancient One is talking about reorienting the spirit to heal the body. She gives him a book on chakras and acupuncture and MRI and all these things, and I love this scene because she goes, all these things were done by people who only had a fraction of the picture. They didn't understand the full thing. But of course, Strange doesn't believe in fairy tales about chakras, or I love how he's chakras or spirits, and then gets a little violent. So the Ancient One knocks his fucking astral form out of his body just to show him how much he doesn't
Pokey,
know.
it's all pokey.
He's
Dude.
like, what is bah! She gives him just the
Yeah, that was
old. I love
dope.
that. And by the way, I love that. And it's one of those standout moments too in Endgame where Bruce is like, listen, I don't want to have to get to it. Just knocks him out of the Hulk's body. So cool.
And then No Way Home as well, man. This whole
So
scene
good.
is one of the MCU best ones. Like, this is so great, and it does everything that makes this shit special, which is it shows us a new world. It explains things in a way that is exposition, but it's exposition backed with like insane visuals that are actually happening to the character and to the experience. So it's not just like trippiness for trippiness' sake. It's like actually showing us like, yo, the multiverse is cool, but it can also be really scary, and there'll be a lot of little fingies.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it also, I think, like this movie does such a good job creating a character who is kind of like a douchebag and asshole who thinks he knows everything, and then throwing him into this vast universe of things he doesn't know, and it does such a good job like making us understand like why he believes in it now or like sees it, you know?
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
I think my main problem with Doctor Strange as a hero is that it's not like he was born as like the chosen one, or like I fail to see why he was the one that was chosen to do any of this.
They talk about that a little bit
Yeah.
when he's studying. She says like, you're really like you're really good at this. Like you are. That's probably one of the reasons why you excelled as a surgeon, because you just have an inherent like an innate ability to do this. But the one thing that I think is strong about the film is that she goes, the thing that's really holding you back is you're still missing that one incredible key point. And he goes, what? She goes, it's not about you. Like, stop making it everything in the world about you. And I think that's so strong because as he goes into like, how does he solve the problem? How does he beat the big bad guy? It's not by overpowering him. It's by using his intellect, but also sacrificing himself, like being willing to be like, I will be stuck in this death loop with you for all of eternity because I just finally realized that there's more important things that come before myself, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, and you know what's really cool with that, and watching this is my first time watching it since we did MCU in review leading into Infinity War. So it's been a couple years, and I mean that was leading into Infinity War. So we got his little cameo in Ragnarok, but we've gotten a lot of substantial Strange since then. And
I've gotten some Strange since then. Don't you worry.
Yeah, that's my man. But no, the line of it's not about you, like that being kind of the theme of this movie, I think is interesting to contextualize his choices and actions going forward, whether it's him helping Peter with the spell or even in Infinity War, like legitimately giving Thanos the time stone. Like, what a ridiculous thing for him to do. But I love that it's not with great power comes great responsibility. Like, that's not Steven's thing. And it is more just, you have this power, but you need to not use it just to benefit yourself, not for the glory, but to help others. And when you think about it that way, like the amount of times from this movie on that he makes choices that aren't for him, but they are to help those around him. And whenever he does the crazy big spells, that's the purpose. I think it's really cool to think about it that way.
Me too. Anyway, we're not quite there yet right now. Tilda Swinton brings him back into his body and then punts his third eye into the stratosphere, and it's trippy as hell, just like that one tunnel in the original Willy Wonka chocolate factory. I'm like, why is this tunnel in here? What purpose
Remember the
does this
giant
serve?
bugs? That was scary as shit.
The creepiest thing, of course, she says, you think you know the world works. You think that this material universe is all there is. Yeah, Strange goes through all his bed. And then we get to the creepiest thing ever, just a bunch of little baby hands growing out of little baby hands.
Baby hands. He looks at his hands and it's a fractal. Each finger is made of hands, made of fingers of hands of fingers, you know?
That is the scariest thing. That's the kind of shit that, like, I bet if you thumb through some very early Greg Miller drawings,
Oh, you
You'll see a few of those things. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, she opens his eyes to the infinite multiverse. That's the first reference we get there, out there, including Dormammu's, and the sequence is incredible. And then he comes back, and of course he's in awe, and he says, "Teach me," and she says, "No." So they kick his ass out, just like they did Rob Paulson in Fight Club, and just like Rob Paulson, he hangs out for like 5 minutes, and they bring him back in. And let's see. The Ancient One, of course, is reluctant to show another talented student the way. Least he turn out like Caecilius, but eventually Mordo talks her into it, and they let him back in. He gets handed a piece of paper with the word Shambhala on it, and he goes, "What is this? My mantra?" He goes, "No, it's the Wi-Fi password. We're not savages." That joke I thought was pretty funny. Strange takes his watch off and reads the inscription on the back. Of course, this is the one watch he couldn't part with because the inscription on the back says, "Time will tell how much I love you," from Christine, which is a very, very nice thing.
This is Wong's first introduction as well.
That's right.
It's funny because seeing him in this movie, I'm so happy where he is now compared to where he was in this. And I think it's totally explained by just his relationship with Strange, kind of opening him up and making him a little friendlier and more lighthearted in the future movies. But he is tied for Doctor Strange for appearances in movies. He wasn't in Ragnarok, but he was in Shang-Chi, and Doctor Strange wasn't.
Oh, that's cool. I love Benedict Wong. I think he does a great job in this. The next day, of course, Strange begins his training. He's until the Swinton tells him, "We harness energy from the other dimensions of the universe to cast spells, to conjure shields and weapons, to make magic." I love all the graphics here. I love how they're doing all this stuff. I think that's so unique and cool. And again, Tim made that earlier point that everything has that sort of distinctive visual style, and that's one of the strengths of the MCU is that you see these things, these glyphs that they make, and you go, "Okay, that's Doctor Strange world. That's that kind of magic."
Real quick, a note on that. There's on the New Rockstars channel, youtube.com/New Rockstars, MT did this really cool breakdown of the color science of the MCU and how they're following throughout all the movies. There's a consistent back and forth reasoning of when magic is purple versus red versus orange versus blue versus whatever. And when you see the glows off of different things, even not just like the most obvious, like, okay, Wanda's shit or what, like Strange's shit, like when you're talking about just any color elements going on, it's backing up story points and science in the world where there's like a consistent Bible to it all. It's really damn cool.
Strange asks, "How do I get from 0 to where you are, the Ancient One?" And she says, "How did you get to be replacing people's brains, or whatever the fucking neurosurgeon does?" And he goes, "Years of practice and study." She's like, "Hey, now you're on the track." So he heads over to the library where all dorks go and meets Wong. And Wong goes, he's like, "Wong, just Wong, like Adele or Drake." And I'm like, this guy gets it, Tim.
Yeah,
I mean, he might be older, but
funny.
he's smart. He gets modern contemporary references. We're going to get a banger of a Beyonce reference later, Greg. Fucking put your pants back on. Strange.
I can't ever imagine this guy doing karaoke. Never.
This Benedict Cumberbatch? Does he do
Wong.
karaoke? Oh, Wong. That makes sense. Wong's a badass. Anyway, let's see. Strange finishes all the remedial books, so Wong takes him to the Master section, and Strange asks about the Ancient One's private collection, but Wong tells him they're far too advanced for anyone but the Sorcerer Supreme. And I think this is the first time she's referred to as the Sorcerer Supreme, and that's pretty fucking cool. Strange.
And now Wong is.
Yeah, that's badass. Strange notices one of the pages from the book of the Castle of Cagliostro, which is torn out, and which apparently is about turning back time. Nice share reference there. But Wong tells them not to.
For more on this, you should watch episode 4 of What If, the Doctor Strange episode, where they actually go and he talks to Cagliostro, I think.
You can skip it though. Just read about it.
No, it was good. You guys suck. You guys are all dead
Nick, it
inside.
wasn't good. Come on, you're
It was
adult enough to admit
entertaining.
that. No,
I really just want to look at Kevin's reaction.
Caecilius, of course, starts. We cut back over to him and his gang, and they start the spell from the missing pages, and the whole crew gets cool Dormammu eye tattoos. Strange can't make the shapes happen with his sling ring, but he's good at grunting, so that's something for him. Strange thinks it's his hands, but Master, I'm gonna mispronounce his Hamir.
So those grunts. I wasn't gonna put this fact in here, but the fact that you brought up those specific grunts, I'm going to. They're not Benedict Cumberbatch. There was a bunch of random added VO that they had to do, and it's the voice of Tidus from Final Fantasy X, and also the voice of Ratchet, James Arnold Taylor.
Oh, weird.
That's fun.
Why?
wonder. I don't know.
I'm gonna
He's a
say
voice
that's
actor.
not
I don't
fun.
know.
You know, that was
That's
a random.
I'm gonna
fact
say
that I
that's
knew.
not fun.
But I love this is another fun lesson here, of course, because the master that she brings over only has one hand, so it's not about that. It's all in your mind. She says you can't beat a river into submission. You have to surrender to its current and use its power as your own. So then she takes him over to Mount Everest and leaves his ass there until he figures out how to
hilarious.
get back. And I love this scene too. Tilda Swinton perfectly played, great chemistry with Chiwetel here because she's like it's fine, and then we cut. It's like one little look at her. She's like I don't know, maybe we should go
Yeah,
get
it would be fine in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
great. And of course, he comes back and he's finally kind of starting to come into his own power. He tries shaving again, but it's still hard. So he leaves a 1990s goatee because I assume he believes, like the rest of us, that AJ McLean was the unsung hero of Backstreet Boys. Strange.
This
call
is
out.
so stupid. I didn't even notice this was like the origin of his goatee.
Yeah. Because
Wow, yeah, that's so obvious. Yeah. It's funny.
That's pretty cool. Strange calls Wong Beyonce for not giving him the book on astral projection, so he conjures a gateway into the library and
joke
steals
in
the
the
book
movie.
while Wong listens to single ladies on his headphones, which I thought was pretty funny. But you guys are all dead inside. Then he sleeps while his spirit.
I liked him
continues to
stealing the
study.
book.
Yeah, I liked him stealing the books.
Beyonce joke. Yeah.
I didn't get
Question.
it. It just
Is it a wig? I don't know. We're gonna have Scarpino. Like there are some sequences in this movie where his hair looks the most real and the most convincing, except for on the sides. Like it's obvious that it just. I wonder if it's not slicked back on the sides, it's just hang down.
I think if you see pictures of him behind the scenes, Andy, it looks like it hangs down roughly to the nipple line.
Oh
is
wow,
weird.
interesting.
Yeah.
Very
The rest of his hair kind of only
interesting.
like 2-3 inches. This goes straight to
Gotcha.
where
Because there are some shots where it looks realistic and the hairline doesn't look super like where it's just binary. It's just there's hairline, there's skin. You know, like the way it looks now, it looks incredibly fake in more recent shots. But I feel like this is I feel like parts of this movie where he has his shorter hair look the most realistic. When he has the longer hair, though, good lord, that looks terrible. There are some sequences where he's moving around. It's just like a stiff wig. It
looks like a hair helmet.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with his beard before he shaves it. When it's the
Yeah.
long scruffy beard, you're like, all right, well, this is pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, thank God. It's goatee from here on out.
Goatee, go V, go home. Those are the options. You know what I mean?
This is
Damn
cool.
right, Greg.
I love this scene. I don't even think I saw this the first time, but I love that he's sleeping while he's sleeping, his astral spirit is still continuing to study, which is cool.
It's just badass, man. Like
Sick.
you're starting to see him kind of become
that
this
makes sense.
powerful being, and it's like
Wanda.
totally. And like going back to what Greg was saying, like he's not this like there's no divine thing that happened that caused this. It's like he's just really good at studying and putting it together. And like us seeing that happen in this movie makes it by the end of it when he's legitimately facing Dormammu, you're like, I buy it. I totally buy it.
He figured it out. The Ancient One shows Strange how to get into the mirror dimension so he can train safely without fucking up the rest of the world. And it's also used to do some, I guess, surveillance and contain threats. Mordo teaches Strange how to fight, and they talk about Caecilius, who was kind of like Strange during his time at Comertage, came in broken. Andy from Kind of Funny.
I'm just saying right now, top 3 coolest name of all time, Caecilius.
Badass.
it's a good name. It's a
Like
Hard to
it's just
spell.
a really cool fucking name.
I feel like it's hard to pronounce in the same way that Miyazaki movie was, The Castle of,
Cagliostro.
Yeah.
you know, similar name. Sounds cool. Both cool.
Caecilius is one of those literally I had to
similar.
look it up 15 times.
Hard to pronounce.
Every single
Can't
time I
pronounce
write.
either.
It's true. Anyway, Mordo. Let's see. They talk about him. Then Mordo shows Strange a relic. We get that introduced, which is imbued with magical power, too powerful for humans to sustain. So they put him in objects. This is the stuff of the living. He's like, this is the staff of the living tribunal, which is cool. And Strange wants one.
Kevin Coelho.
We didn't get enough of these vaulting shoes because they were fucking dope.
They're sick.
They were so cool, and we see them in that one shot, and then never again.
They come back in one more shot later as they're running away during the chase sequence with Caecilius. I think he uses them one time to get down the building, and Strange floats down because he's got the cloak of levitation.
Seeing
But they're
that
cool.
staff in action, it's like I just want a Bloodborne movie. Like I would just want to see these transforming weapons. That shit was so dope.
This scene is so sick. The actor, I don't know his name, but Mordo's actor is a black belt in karate. So he did all of his own stunts here.
Oh, that's
Wow.
cool.
in the fight, which is dope as hell. And then the staff of Living Tribunal is cool because in the Living Tribunal is like one of the god things of the MCU, like the really, really high level
Big
stuff.
deal. Multiverse.
not a celestial, but that type of vibe. And we see images of it in the Multiverse of Madness trailer. So I imagine we'll actually see him come face to face with the faces. Face to faces? That's what it is.
We saw
Cool.
one of we saw the statue of his faces in the Loki, right? It was
Yes.
in the like trash universe. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh
And
wow.
I didn't mean bigger in size than Celestials. I meant bigger in like strength.
Mm.
Yeah.
Stronger.
Yeah.
Faster, better.
Strong is a word for it.
Of course, Strange immediately wants one, and Mordo says, "You're ready when the relic decides you're ready." So Mordo does that cool thing where he does with the boots, and then Strange tries to email Christine one more time to apologize, but the words fail him. He heads to the library for some late night reading and comes across a book about the Eye of Agamotto. And it's super cool as hell. It's green, which of course we all know in any universe, Andy can mean poison or stamina power or time power. We're not quite sure. That was a
hate you. I hate you. Just we don't need to explain it. Just keep going. I hate you.
No one needs to understand this. Just go.
He does a cool thing where he turns back time and back and forth in the
If
Apple
I
Core.
could turn back the time.
I like this. I think it's so cool because the camera is kind of going with him, and I think that's a unique shot. A little overdone in this. I'm like, we get it. You can make the Apple Core rot or come back to life whenever.
Yeah,
you
they
want.
hang on it a second time a little bit long, don't
little
they?
too
I'm with you, but it's necessary for how complex the alley scene later is of
Yeah.
them doing the turn back time. Like, I think that they needed us to be like, beat us over the head of like,
Yeah.
this is how this works. Keep that in mind because we're gonna go fucking balls to the wall later.
Right.
Mm,
And of
mm,
course,
fair
he gets the bright idea. Immediately uses it for the worst possible thing he could, which he turns back the time on the on that book and replaces
So
the
cool.
shape
Fucking
with the spell
brilliant.
for Dormammu. Yeah,
Yeah.
super cool.
Are those
Mordo tells him-
pages? Are those
Mhm.
pages then now just back in
Yeah.
there?
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Do they not exist elsewhere anymore?
No,
I don't
they
think it
still. I
matters.
would. Yeah,
Right?
I think they still
good
exist
question.
elsewhere.
Yeah, good question. That is a good question, right?
Thank you.
I don't know if that makes two separate temporal I don't know. Who the fuck knows? Doesn't matter. He's
Magic.
Mordo comes in and tells him that
Because
temporal
like, wait, real
manipulation.
quick,
Yeah.
the apple that he ate is still eaten in
his
his
Yeah,
belly.
well, I mean, we don't know that. It could have gotten ripped out of him.
Nah,
Right.
Could've
come
gotten
on.
magically.
Oh God! Don't keep. Why do you keep doing it? Don't keep doing it. It goes back.
My eyes are watery.
Like that's how he kills somebody. He gets it in their throat and just keeps it going.
Mordo, of course, comes in and tells him that temporal manipulation can create a bunch of branches in time. Super dangerous stuff. Strange fires back that he wants to know what the hell they really are, and he says sorcerers. He gives him a little more lowdown. Sorcerers safeguard the world against the mystical threats. Agamotto was the OG sorcerer supreme and built 3 houses or sanctums, as they call them, to generate protective shields around the world. One's in New York. One is in London and one is in Hong Kong. Sorcerers protect the sanctums. That's what we're here for. Dormammu, of course, dwells in the dark dimension
Dormammu.
beyond time, which is the coolest fucking statement you could say. He hungers for the earth most of all. Strange wants out. He's like, I came here to fix my hands, not fight in a mystical war. But it's too late because Caecilius attacks the London sanctum and destroys it, forcing Strange through the door to the New York sanctum on Bleecker Street. That's the first time we see that here. He sees some cool gateways that have control knobs to other places. I love that. I love the 3 windows with the control knobs by them.
It's super cool, but what's the reasoning for them? Like, and what is there any methodology to where they're going?
I think
Yeah, it's
No.
acupuncture points in the world. Like basically, like there's where the mystic arts and stuff all intersect, the lines of dark magic and light magic, and that if they wanted
Wow.
to, these are like where you could really cast some fucking
think-
big ass dick spells if you want.
Okay, there it is.
I think
Because hear me out for a sec. I'm just a little. I was watching. I was confused by like what the function of this is, because if they were doors to the other sanctums, that would make sense. But these are people that have sling ring portal things that can go anywhere they want at any time.
you don't
What's
need
the
these doors.
purpose of this?
Tim, it's like back in the day we had CRT TVs and you couldn't really take them with you, and now we have
Yeah.
laptops.
Exactly.
You see what I
We
mean?
have iPhones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect comparison.
Yeah,
The
think
Sling
of it.
Ring is a
Okay.
laptop, Tim.
I think,
Gotcha.
Tim, I think
But,
it
like,
was just
they're
literally
not
for
gonna-
the sake of they had a cool action sequence figured
That's
out.
really
They're like, we need
cool.
the thing at the end of the thing. That's it.
The floating
it was
door
cool.
too, with like the reverse shot of the
Right.
sand dunes. So rad.
See, for
he
me, that
goes-
was more. Did she? It was the woman who went through the door in the fight or whatever. Did she lose her sling ring? I forget that part.
I don't know.
Because she runs back
Uh,
like so. Like I'm like, why don't you just cast? the
Yeah,
fucking
she
spell?
does.
Okay.
I
I
hope
don't
so.
actually. I don't think she ever had a sling ring Because what
Okay.
ends up happening is the Caecilius is like, I know something you don't. You lost your sling ring.
Right.
And then the other guy comes back,
Right.
right? So he used his sling ring to come, not his own sling ring.
I didn't really try. I can on the next time we do this, when Doctor Strange 3 comes out, I'll track the sling rings on
Thank you
this.
very much.
Greg,
Good,
please make
good.
a note of that.
Sure.
And we'll do the
quick-
sling ring tracker.
Quick thing about Dormammu, he's a lot like Ego in the sense that like that was Ego's plan, right? Like had Ego
To eat the
conquered to eat all the planets, right?
Yeah,
And
Do you
that's
think they know about each other?
probably. They're
well,
homies.
so I'm saying like, what if Ego is or Dormammu is like another universe's Ego that has succeeded, you know, and has now become a
Maybe.
multi-universal threat.
I
But
want to
wasn't
live in that
Ego
world.
just going to unify the planets in like a hive mind, whereas Dormammu's
No,
like
he was gonna
stopping
turn
time?
them. He was gonna turn them all blue. In that, like,
Well, yeah, the
remember
color,
that-
sure, but like this is more of like a dimensional stoppage of time and eat your power kind of thing.
Well, I
no?
think that's like once you've dominated a whole universe, you probably got a lot more power. You know what I mean? Probably there's no time then. You know?
Interesting Dormammu stuff here. Tony Todd was considered for the role of Dormammu. Tony Todd, of course, the actor from
Candyman.
Candyman, with an
Gonna be
amazing
Venom.
voice. The producers invited him into a studio for a 6-hour voiceover session for the voice work. But ultimately decided on going a different direction, which ended up being Benedict Cumberbatch also doing the voice of Dormammu. Although Todd was understandably disappointed, he didn't come away with the final role. He said he understood and is using the process as a motivational tool for himself. Quote, I say this just to point out to everybody that you got to roll and sway with all these punches and waves that come at you. Did I cry? No. I understood. I was disappointed at the value that I lose. People going, dude, are you Dormammu? But there'll be another Dormammu.
There will be another Dormammu.
There will be
Just
another
roll the
Dormammu.
punches.
Which is so great. But then the other thing, and this is just crazy theory time that I don't actually think is going to happen, but would be pretty cool. There is a theory that Dormammu is one of the other multiverse Stranges, like we saw in What If, kind of getting like all fucked up
Yeah,
over
that's
time. And
cool.
it being him being voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch might just be like a fun retcon
yeah,
reference
yeah.
in the way that, like, oh, the kid from Iron Man 2 was Peter Parker. And it's like, no, he wasn't. But yeah, he is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's cool. That's really cool. We also see for the first time here, I put the cape of Agamotto, but now I know it's called the Cloak of Levitation, so we'll just strike through that one. Caecilius and the gang kill Daniel, the master of the Sanctum of New York, and Strange gets involved. He tries to fight them off with his magic whip, but he's out of his depth, clearly. He manages to knock one of the thugs into the scary desert place from Beetlejuice and then throws the other into the jungle, but Caecilius gets after him. Their scuffle lets out the cape of Cagliostro, but they're not quite synced up yet. The cape, he wants to grab an axe. The
Fucking
cape's
love
like, no,
the
no,
cape.
you're missing the point. You got to grab this other thing that looks like an old, ancient
Iron Maiden sort of
Iron
thing.
Maiden thing, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And finally gets it, understands it, throws it at Caecilius, and it imprisons him. Caecilius, of course, wants the whole world to be engulfed in the dark dimension, so time will never kill anyone again, because time is the only thing we can't get back. The Ancient One is hoarding all the immortality for herself, and Caecilius has been stalling for time, so one of his thugs can kill Steven. He's like, "I know something you don't. You lost your sling ring."
I-
The-
I do want to say, like, aside from everything that just you mentioned, Nick, all cool stuff. I love the animation of the
Thanks, man.
Iron Maiden. I love the weird
Yeah.
robot thing. It just
Yeah.
seems like
Yeah.
really cool
Yeah.
and real. But I fucking love these sort of mirror sword blades that they're using. I think they look so sick. It's such a simple effect, but the initial moment of Mads sort of like stretching it out and you seeing kind of the distortion behind where the blade exists, it looks so badass, man. The visual effects go so hard in this movie.
Are they
Uh,
just blade shards from the Mirrorverse? Is that what they are?
That's what I
That's
think.
what I
yeah.
thought. Yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool.
That's
I never,
a really
I
cool
never even
thing.
knew
I
that
never,
was
I
that.
never thought that.
I didn't say this in the beginning when I was giving my thoughts, but I just really, more than anything about this movie, appreciate how it just commits and goes for it and like totally attempts to just have the coolest thing happen at any given moment. Every fight scene's creative as shit. Every fight scene's
awesome.
different than the last one we saw. Greg mentioned the opening of it being like that Mario Galaxy style mirror dimension fight with Tilda Swinton. Coming back later and seeing like the advanced version of that, but getting kind of this tease in this like hallway fight scene where it is just entertaining. Every single thing you're looking at is awesome. And when we start seeing the mirror shit kind of like roll over itself, it kind of becomes noise when it's the whole kaleidoscope stuff. But if you just focus on any one element, it is awesome. Like there's so much thought put into how everything connects and works, and it's not noise. It is like beautifully designed. And I just think that they just keep upping themselves, like as we get later to the time fight. Here it's cool seeing this hallway fight that's kind of using the gravity type thing, like the Inception fight we had in the hotel, was it?
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Mhm.
That's super cool. But then we get the astral fight that has some goofy moments, but that's like 6 or 7 unique fight scenes in this movie that a lot of other MCU movies might have 1, might have 2. So hell yeah.
Also,
of course,
real quick,
yeah.
shout outs to the joke where he goes to grab like the weird gauntlet thing, and Caecilius is like, "You don't know what that does, do you?" And he's like, "It's
See, that's
heavy."
the humor I like
Yep.
of it.
Yeah, me
and that
too.
and the whole, you know, Mr. Doctor,
God,
it's
so good.
strange. Who
Yeah.
am I one to judge? Like I thought that was so.
I really feel like Mads makes this like that all the delivery of all that so much better because he's
He
so
elevates it for
weirdly
sure.
genuine and kind of like a nice guy when he's saying like when he's in those moments, like he just stabs someone in the chest, but like he's like, oh yeah, I mean this is strange, I guess. No problem. Yeah.
Of course, Doctor Strange gets stabbed through the chest by one of the thugs. The cape comes to save him, and through the scuffle, Stephen grabs the thug's sling ring and rings himself over to Christine's hospital. He gets to the operating table, but passes out. She starts working on him, but his astral form leaves his body and comes to help guide her through the surgery. And she freaks out. She's like, "What's going on?" He's a little up right now. And then, of course, he uses his hand to like glow the inner side of his body so she can see where the blood is coagulated. But the thug from the mansion lets his astral self out to loose and goes after Stephen through the gateway that he's open. While Christine tries to save Stephen's mortal form, they start getting into it. Stephen flatlines, so Christine grabs the paddles and shocks him, which supercharges his astral form. He tells her to do it again, up the voltage, do it again. She's like, "Your heart's already beating." He goes, "Just do it again." And he uses it to just nuke the guy's brain in the astral plane. Strange takes the opportunity to finally apologize. Yeah.
In that moment, did she kill that guy or did he kill that guy? You know what I mean? Like, but who's to blame? Because he's
Strange,
like, "Oh, I don't want to
Strange is
kill."
the one using the power to kill it. Like
Okay.
Christine doesn't even know what he's doing over there. She thinks he's weaving some kind of astral quilt. You know what I mean? Keep a little baby warm. She
Sure.
doesn't understand she's an accomplice to astral
So
murder.
if I bring a box with a button and I'm like, press the button, and you press it without knowing someone's gonna die, you're saying you're not the bad guy there, okay?
Well, now
Also true,
now
yeah,
you told
definitely. In
us.
that scenario, if you're like,
Yeah,
push this
yeah.
button, you give me no restrictions, like
Sure,
Perry
sure.
White from Superman Returns did in that movie.
There it is.
Like,
Perfect.
yeah,
Just
I'm
try to
fine.
get you there.
Now, if
I'm
you say,
fine.
of course, like you hit this button, somebody dies, that's a different story.
But you get $1
But
million.
Stephen Strange didn't pop up, say, "Hit me with the juice again. I'm gonna kill this guy."
Yeah.
What was that, Ken?
I said, but you get $1 million, right? That's how
I'm pushing that
movie went.
button for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I'm pushing that button. I'm hoping the other side of that cord's attached to some part of Andy. Strange takes the opportunity to finally apologize to Christine and bring her up to speed on Comertage and the Ancient One. Christine doesn't believe him until he shows her the dimensional gateway he opened up in the mop closet, which is funny.
I mean, he's
back
also
in
a
the
ghost person in front of her. Like,
Yeah, I'm like at this point, like, what the fuck more do you want me to show you? You just saw my astral projection over my mortal body, but whatever. You know.
Don't tell me. You're lying to me. That's fine. Like, okay, no, come on now.
We
I'm
have
a
that one
ghost.
little beat too where I mean Rachel McAdams I think doesn't get enough credit. I think she does a great job in this. We have the moment where the mop drops and she jumps.
Yeah, I
it's
was
just like
thinking-
it's just too much for her.
Which is real. Like the fun facts I have here is due to the popularity of the Marvel films, Rachel McAdams had a change of stance and became interested in appearing in any of them. She would take any of them. Unknowingly, she was the first choice for the role of Christine. McAdams was previously approached by Jon Favreau as the first choice to play Pepper Potts, but she declined.
Ah.
Wow.
her- The startled reaction in the broom closet was genuine since the mop handle fell completely by accident and it scared her. And Scott Derrickson decided to keep the reaction in the film because she never broke character.
I had heard that the mop was Andy Serkis mocap.
Oh,
which is interesting.
wow.
Yeah.
Is there nothing that man can't do to
Yeah.
ruin my films that I like? Back in the mansion, he sees the body of the dude he iced, and we hear the cool harpsichord track as he puts the cape back on, and I love it. Strange tells Mordo that the Ancient One and the Ancient One, that Caecilius, can fold matter outside of the mirror world. And they're like, whoa, he's growing in
I
power.
love how mad she gets. She's like, he's folding in the real dimension.
Yeah,
and it's
it's
like,
cool.
oh, yeah, that fucking guy. You know what I mean? It's dangerous.
Nothing cooler, guys, than when the most powerful person on the good team is like, wait, the bad guy can do something I didn't know that you could do. Crazy. elevated stakes. Strange
Nick,
tells
she
Mordo.
definitely knew. Like she's
She can
stronger
fucking-
than Caecilius, right?
Oh yeah, she should have iced him
Yeah.
out, but she's on that fucking dark juice, man. She's got to get that
Right.
dark energy through her veins. Just,
She's taking a nip from the dark side, man.
bro. Who would? Who wouldn't? Only New York and Hong Kong sanctums remain now. The Ancient One gives him the duty to become the protector of the New York sanctum, but he doesn't want the job because he just killed someone. He's like, look, dude, I'm a doctor. I took a Hippocratic oath to not kill anyone, and I just iced my first person. I don't want any part of this. And then Strange, of course, she's like, you stop being so egotistical. Goes, what about me? What about you? You're using the dark juice, dimensional energy to keep yourself alive.
Using the
Then-
juice.
I love how she's like, tread lightly, dog. Like,
Yeah.
she's
you
like-
sure you
know
want
what
to go
you're
down
talking
this
about.
path, bro? Like, you don't
Yeah,
know
it's
what you're getting into. I love
Man,
that.
it's always so fascinating to see what Tim's got going on from the waist down. Do you guys ever think about that? When he
No,
gets up, you're like, is it
not
shorts
once.
day? Is it a...
One day it's gonna be roller skates. Next day it's
You
gonna be
can hear me.
skis.
You can fucking hear me.
He flipped his
He just flipped his
up.
He wears the headphones for show. He wears the
He's-
headphones to act like he can't hear us when he walks away, but then he knows. He
He's
laughs at the
not
jokes.
stupid. He understands we're jackals, and the second he leaves, we're gonna pounce. Let's see. Strange, of course, read the missing pages from the Castle Cagliostro book, which I have to imagine is a novelization of the famous Miyazaki movie. Stephen and Mordo get into it. Mordo lacks the imagination needed to find another way that doesn't involve killing everyone, and Mordo fires back. Stephen lacks a spine and hands. Caecilius comes back with his bomb and blows up the New York Sanctum. So Strange, did he blow up the Sanctum? I missed that part. I think he does.
No,
right?
Strange puts him in a mirror
Oh,
dimension.
mirror diverse. That's right.
So he doesn't blow up
You
that
can't hurt
sanctum,
anybody
right?
here, bro.
Right.
Yep.
Wait, or
That-
does
and
he?
then
Because he has to.
somebody
Fuck,
blows up
that's-
the New York dimension, the New York Sanctum, right? Did we not
Do
see
they?
that?
I
Because
don't
Hong
remember
Kong,
that.
they say at one point Hong Kong is the last sanctum. So I don't know if they blow up New York or not. Tim, did they blow up the New York sanctum?
Yeah,
you're
You're muted.
I don't think so, but they didn't blow it up. It wasn't being, all the things from it were taken, right?
Oh, so
And
maybe
like
they just
because
disabled it.
because the fight was in it, right? So they
Yeah.
What things were taken? I don't think it
I don't
has
know.
any, right?
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe if you
Good
take
question.
out two of the legs,
Coffee
it's
machine.
like a tripod.
They had an
that
ice
goes
No,
machine.
down.
not the coffee machine.
Yeah,
They had one of those
yeah.
really clean ice machines, Kevin, that you like.
Oh, one
Ooh.
day. Anyway,
I
Caecilius
wish you
comes
could have
back.
drank from it, Andy. I wish every day that you could have drank.
One day, man. One day.
He traps him in the mirror dimension, to which Mordo's like, hey, that was a really bad idea because the mirror dimension is powered by the dark dimension and they're way more powerful here. And Strange is like, God, man, y'all gotta start telling me some shit. This whole sequence, super rad. This is, I think, the standout sequence in the entire film where
the
it's all the
MC Escher
kaleidoscope
fight.
stuff. It's awesome, right? It's
Yeah.
the Inception style
cool.
buildings folding into itself. We get a great Stan Lee cameo. Of course, Caecilius
The
gets
little
to-
cars doing like that little like
Yeah,
90-degree
around.
turn.
Hard
Yeah,
turns, hard
so-
turns.
And
Uh,
also a fantastic shot of the two sort of fucked up geometric skylines off on each corner with them two falling in the middle, like
Yeah.
from super far away. That's such a great shot, dude.
Yeah, I
Dude,
agree.
it's so cool. The Stan Lee cameo in the film is one of 4 Stan Lee cameos that were filmed in one day. James Gunn said that he filmed 3, being this film, this film, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and another title he did not reveal. And then those were all used in the different movies around this era for
That's cool.
Stan Lee. And then also, yeah, this scene's so damn rad, but like, how dope is it that we live in a world that they're like, this scene's cool, but you know what could be cooler? If Spider-Man was swinging through all this shit. And then we got that shit. God bless the MCU. Please continue, Nick.
Very, very cool. Of course, Caecilius gets to drop on Strange and Mordo, but the Ancient One comes in to save his bacon. Cool fight. I love the floor in
Cool
this
fight.
because it kaleidoscopes into being like the floor from
the
which I
shape.
think is the shape of like the Sanctum like glass. Super rad, or their
I don't
shape,
think
whatever.
I don't think it's the Sanctum glass. It's
Well,
just like
It's like a cool shape, right? It's like
Yeah,
I
it's
feel like
like
it's the one
Buddhist
from
stuff
Kamar
and-
or something like
yeah.
that. Yeah, I don't know.
Camera cash.
Super cool.
Isn't
Anyway,
it the lotus?
is that what it is?
Like the shape of a lotus. It doesn't matter, but it's
looks familiar and
cool,
cool.
symmetrical.
But it's
shape.
because she lands there, and we get this cool, like, man, fucking one of the coolest things in the whole thing is Caecilius slams the floor and it ripples and knocks them all, and she stops
Oh
it
my
and then
Yeah.
slams it back at him,
Back.
which is rad.
Big Perry
Yeah,
right there.
so-
I'm
yeah.
telling you,
Yeah.
she could have beaten him easily, but she
I
was
think
looking
so.
forward. You know, she had
Yeah,
a plan. She knew
of course,
this is her moment to die.
During all this, Dormammu, Mordo spots the same insignia she has on her forehead as the bad guys do, and she goes, "Oh!" He finally realizes, "Oh, she is drawing her power from the dark dimension." Steven, let's see, Caecilius stabs her through one of his men, and they head back after her into the real world as she falls like 800 stories to her death, or seemingly.
Still the fucking most violent thing that
Very
we've seen in
violent.
a long time in the MCU.
God,
Holy fuck.
This is
Damn, she
brutal.
thumps down way harder
Dude,
than
like no one expects it. I've seen this movie like 4 times now, and I still am like, oh my god,
At
they didn't
any
cut that. They
moment-
didn't edit that. Like what? And then a second later, we see her like in the real world or whatever, or like in the hospital
Yeah.
bed, just fucking bloodied. It's like this is so brutal.
At any
Close
moment,
up,
you
too.
still expect some magic spell to like stop
I mean,
or what. But
but-
god damn, it is so loud, and like I love that there's no music there. It's just every visceral sound effect.
Interesting that it's something I hadn't thought about, but Doctor Strange is wearing the Eye of Agamotto and could use it. He could have.
Out of power,
You
out
know?
of juice.
Reversed
The
it.
bill
I mean, he
always
didn't,
comes
yeah.
due, Kevin. The bill always,
Comes due. Of course, he attempts to operate on her, but his hands shake. So, in a moment that I think is incredibly important to the character development,
rough.
he hands the scalpel to Nick, and he's like, "I need your help on this one," which is important. Then the Ancient One flatlines, so Steven heads outside to hang out with her astral projection as he watches a bolt of lightning go across the sky in slow motion. And she's like, "I can never see past this exact moment. All the things I've done, I've looked past. I can never see it." But she's like, you got one more lesson to learn, Steven. He's like, "What is it?" And she goes, "Arrogance and fear still keep you from learning the most important thing. It's not about you." She tells him that Paraborn used his magic to walk. He could have used that magic. He could have not walked and used that magic for something bigger to help the world, but he chose to go back to his old life. And she's like, "What are you gonna do now?" And then she looks, and I mean, you want to talk about just a banger of a scene and just an incredible actor doing it. Tilda Swinton, I'm not ready. No one ever is. Or she says, no, he says, no one ever is. We don't get to choose our time. And she takes Steven's hand. She says, "Death is what gives life meaning. Knowing our days are numbered, your time is short. You'd think now that I'd be ready, but look at me, stretching one moment out into 1,000 just so I can watch the snow." And then she lets go of his hand, and as he looks back over, she's gone. Such a good moment.
That's such a good line.
Beautiful.
So well
Steven,
delivered
of course,
as well.
goes back and takes Christine's hand. He reminds her of her previous words to him that losing his hands didn't need to be the end. They could be the beginning because there are other ways to save lives, a harder way. And she goes, "A weirder way." Christine, of course, gets a call from the ER, and Steven finally tells her what he should have told her back in his apartment. "I don't like soup." He puts the cloak of levitation on and pops the collar, and it wipes a tear away from him, and he tells it to stop. And this is one of those moments you either love it or hate it, but it got me.
I love it so much.
It's like, stop. Kevin, give me a stop.
Stop.
Yeah, it's perfect.
That stop I've heard that stop from Tim so many times.
That's what I'm of the I didn't like this one. This is a joke that didn't hit for me. Like I when he pops the collar, even I think that's overdone. But I was like, all right, let's fucking go. And then the thing, and then I do like how he lets it go for a second, then he's like, stop. But it's like,
Right. You know who
It's
did
like-
like it, Greg?
who's that?
Benedict Cumberbatch, because he's the one that suggested it.
No
And
wonder.
they're
There's
like,
a
"Guys,
reason
there's
Benedict
VFX stuff
Cumberbatch
going
sits
on."
there
They're
and
like,
just
"You know
fucking
what? We'll do
says
it."
the words and doesn't write them. All right, don't worry about it. Sit
Never
there
let
and
your
be
actor-
Doctor Who or Doctor Strange and just shut the fuck up. How about that?
Man,
Is
most
he
of my
Doctor
actor
Who?
friends don't even
No.
pick what they eat for lunch.
He's Sherlock.
Yeah,
Pretty
he was
much the
Sherlock,
same.
not
Pretty much
Doctor
the
Who.
British.
Same difference.
We got it.
Caecilius and his gang come out.
Look at Greg's bitch ass face. I fucking hate him. He sits there as if he's not listening to us correcting his stupid fucking face.
I was ready. I was like ready to go in on Andy, and then when Nick started, I was like, I'll just let it go. And then you had to fucking bring me back around. Go get your gold chain, you fucking wanker. All right, get the fuck out of here.
He turns it around on Tim instead of me.
There you go.
Flashing out.
Good job, Greg.
Go get your gold chain, you wanker. He just
Yeah. British term. Mordo is disenfranchised now that he knows the truth about the Ancient One. The bill always comes due. Strange begs for him to help. When they sling over to Hong Kong, the Sanctum has already fallen. It's too late. Nothing can stop him. And then Strange is like, "Oh, not necessarily. I'm sorry, I missed this part where Wong gathered the team to go defend the Hong Kong Sanctum, but it's too late." Strange uses the Eye of Agamotto to turn back time, and Caecilius and his people reverse time and start fighting Strange. They kind of I didn't notice this at first, but they like cast a spell to get themselves out of it, which is cool. And their
Yeah.
face literally reverses back through their body. It's a really cool
Very
effect.
neat.
Dude, this
Uh,
whole scene I think is
seems great.
absolutely perfect because it is like VFX we have never seen before. It's using time for fight choreography, which is always cool, but there's just so much care and love put into all the different things that could happen, and like the different elements they show us of like the fire hydrant having the water or whatever it was. Like
Mhm.
they do a good job of focusing on things so that when we get the kind of set piece moments, it all adds up and makes sense to us. But I really, really love the way the camera kind of works with it all, and every single thing you're being guided through the choreography, and them casting the spells to reverse it so they're fighting them. It's like this just could not be cooler.
Agreed. And Joey, the answer is yes. I do in fact reference Cher every time someone says turn back time.
If
Uh,
I could turn back time.
Wong comes back to life and is actually happy that Strange broke the laws of natural physics, nature causing, because now he doesn't have a metal pipe sticking out of his chest anymore. Caecilius
Convenient.
Yeah, it's very convenient. It's a great moment for him too. He's like, oh, you're happy now? He says, well, don't stop now. Caecilius breaks the spell and freezes time. He tells them that the dark dimension is beautiful, a world beyond death, beyond time, and strange. It's one of those classic moments where he's like, what did you just say? Beyond time? Bing! Light bulb goes off in
And
his
then
head.
he
He heads to the
flies.
dark dimension to talk to Dormammu. And the colors here are just incredible
So
in this dark
vivid,
dimension.
Yeah,
For a dark dimension, they got some cool colors.
it's pretty bright.
It's pretty bright. Dormammu, of course, he says, I've come to bargain. And Dormammu just disintegrates him. And then everything reverses and comes right back.
I like that
I
we-
missed the part where he casts a little spell on
Yeah,
himself.
we see the little he thinks
Right.
ahead, does
Mhm.
his little magic trick, and then goes in there and dies possibly thousands of times.
And I love that it's on his wrist, by the way, because that's where you tell time, which is
Yes,
great.
of course.
And with
The keen-eyed viewers.
I just thought that was just cool. He just
Another
casts it right
Marvel
there 'cause
fact
that's
from
what
Nick.
he's used to.
Yeah.
I mean, it ties in with the
Yeah,
watch.
so
broken
cool.
Watch
It
and all
is
that
cool.
stuff. It's cool. You guys, you know what, guys? Not all of them the opportunities. You don't have to take every opportunity to dunk. You can pass it off to a fucking just normal shot on the basket occasionally. Okay.
Get fucked.
Tim, do you have any information on how long he was in the loop?
No, I don't. Don't they say it at some point though?
I mean I
It's not
googled it
after
yesterday.
the fact the director did.
Yeah, I googled it afterwards. It seems like it's unclear, but Kevin Feige has said that he was in there long enough to get. I think Kevin Feige said 1,000 like loops.
Repeats.
Yeah, but some other people have said a lot longer in time. But like supposedly he was able to get better at magic while in there.
Interesting.
Different
Oh, because he must have
techniques.
practiced like defense against this guy because this is the most powerful thing ever.
Yeah.
Going through
Kind of a
reps,
cool
yeah.
opportunity,
Dude.
yeah, get the reps in.
You know you're going in next time. Like let me try this thing out because last
Yeah.
time I.
That was
It's
quick.
like one of those Souls games that Andy likes to play.
Mhm.
And they have some great banger back and forth
Very
there. He says,
accurate.
this is how things are now. You and me trapped in this moment endlessly. And he says, and you'll spend all of eternity dying. He says, yes, but everyone on Earth will live. You will suffer. He says, pain's an old friend. You will never win. No, but I can lose forever. That makes you my
Good.
prisoner. And then eventually, Dormammu eventually realizes he has to capitulate here. Strange makes him promise to take his zealots and never come back. Bargain accepted. We go back to that moment where Caecilius was monologuing and his people get sucked back into Dormammu. And he says, you know,
Disintegrate.
you really should have read the whole book because the warnings come after the spell. And then Wong laughs way too much.
Terrible.
And it's not great, but
Could have
whatever.
just it could have been one chuckle and it would have been perfect.
Exactly.
It would have been like, look, you got him to laugh. Great. Instead, he like hangs on it for way too long.
I
Shout
need
out to
someone to edit
Caecilius.
Kevin's laugh in there.
If I could,
Yes.
for a second, if I could wave my magic wand hand and
can.
take two things out of movies permanently, obviously, number one, wigs, take them
Quick-
out.
Oh.
I don't need them.
Come on.
Two,
Well, kind of.
fake laughing. One of my only thing I hated about the last Spider-Man movie was they were like, Dr. Octopus, that's
Yeah.
gotta be not right. And then they just laughed, right? I'm like, get that out of
that
there.
was
It's never
terrible. It was
real. It's
horrible
terrible.
line.
My favorite
Anyway,
moments of comedy were when Wong is being a dick too.
Yeah.
Strange because
Yeah.
I think they needed to dig into that more. I loved the wow. People usually think I was funny. He's like, are those people being paid by you? Like, I love all.
Very
I
good.
love that
Very
moment,
good.
and I need more of that. I needed more of that just to kind of put Strange in his place a bit more.
Strange finishes turning back time. Mordo tells Strange there will be consequences for breaking the natural laws. As the bill comes due always, and he quits.
Up,
He
Mordo,
walks
you know
away.
what I mean?
Oh.
But he looks so cool when he's walking away, right?
Nah, he's
Dude,
an idiot.
He
Mordo's
grows his
plot in
dreads
this-
right there. It's like, wow.
I think it's so fucking dope. I love the idea of this setting up all these characters and the rules of magic and all this stuff, and having him be such a firm believer as well as Wong and like supporting the Ancient One to be betrayed. I just think the kind of like heel turn that he takes like is very well set up for how little screen time he actually has. And I think it's cool that they show how powerful he is, like even in the fight with Strange. And he clearly has a knowledge of all this stuff and the relics and all that. Like Mordo's character on a rewatch, a lot cooler to me than I've ever given him credit for.
I agree, and I like specifically that it's set up that he is not. He has that one moment where he's like, "You have no idea the things I've done." So he's basically killed for her because he believes in the cause so much. So to have her betray him in that way, I feel it. I feel that would be enough to warrant him walking away and just trying to find a different path. Of course, Strange goes back to the Sanctum, which was either blown up and re-put back together, or we'll never know. But he puts the eye of Agamotto back in its place, which Wong tells him it's a good idea. It's probably a good idea to put that back here until you use how to use it, learn how to use it, because it's dangerous to walk the streets wearing an Infinity Stone. And
Fucking
he's
what
like,
a moment. What a moment.
What? What's an Infinity Stone? He goes, oh, you're dumb.
You'll
gonna
never have to know. Don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Strange walks, of course, then in slow motion back up the staircase toward that cool glass window and puts it back on. We hear more of the amazing soundtrack. And he looks back down at his hands, which are shaking one more time, and then looks back up through the window at the city below. The end. Then we cut to the mid-credit sequence, which is a banger. We got Thor and Doctor Strange hanging out and drinking beer, which refills itself on
Very
talking about
rad.
Loki. And Strange is like, "Why are you here?" He's like, "Listen, I'm here. Me and Loki are here. We're looking for Odin." He goes, "So if I help you find Odin, you'll leave Earth immediately." And he goes, "Yep." He goes, "Okay, let's go." And then we cut over to the end credits where Mordo finally catches up with Pangborn, and he's like, "I see at long last what's wrong with the world." Too many
Hey, Tom Lone.
I thought Tom Lone takes the power from his belly presumably for
fucked up.
himself. The end.
The world
I don't
needs
think-
less sorcerers. You're a dick, dude.
What a dick.
Yeah, I don't think the power works like that way, Nick. Like, I
It
don't
does
think he
now.
can take the power for himself. I think he just takes his power away.
I like to believe a little bit goes into his pocket. You know what I mean? It's like my
Yeah.
fee.
Sure,
It's the tax.
sure,
It's
sure.
the tax for doing it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Bill
And,
always comes,
to this day, this is the longest running MCU post-credit scene that has not yet been resolved. But hey, we won't have to wait long. I imagine
One
we'll get
week.
answers next week. But before we get to all that stuff, I want to do something I like to call haiku in review.
7 syllables in the middle. You'll need 5 for the first and last line.
Wah, wah.
If it's not poetic, no need to fret it. Haikus don't need to rhyme. Haiku in review. Haiku in review.
You nailed that one, Andy. Thank you for staying on the ball.
Really loud,
You can go to
really loud.
patreon.com/kind of funny to write your review in haiku form, just like Joe Mertens did. How does your light shine in the halls of Shambhala? Three Dog Night gets it. I'll tell you what, Joe.
In
I
the
don't.
halls of Shambhala.
That must be a Three Dog Night song.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar with Three Dog Night.
What was the last line?
Three Dog Night gets it.
3 Dog Night. I don't know what the hell
Halls
that
of
means.
Shambhala. Shambhala is a song by Three Dog Night. Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
Mm.
Not
Wow,
bad.
that's a deep cut right there.
And then
And
Jewel-
that's likely a
Maybe.
band that he would have been into from the 60s. Just making it up, helping out Joe
Yeah.
Mertens.
There you are. Good job, Joe Mertens.
what's up, Kev?
Nothing. I was just laughing.
Oh. Jules Bonato says, movie I don't dread. Cool scenes that pull on the thread for strange days ahead.
Oh, that's really good.
A little poetry there.
Oh.
Get ready.
And then, yeah, since it's a rewatch, we don't need to do Ragu Bagu or the ranking, but I did want to bring up the ranking real quick of where we're at, just to see upon rewatch if we think that putting Doctor Strange at its position, how we just feel about it nowadays. Doctor Strange is at number
17.
17, yeah. Right below Black Panther and above Hawkeye. Any thoughts?
I mean,
I think-
Go ahead, Kev.
I was gonna say, I think that wait, okay. I think that it's a stronger movie than Black Panther because of that final fight scene and how cool that was and how that I think elevates things significantly. Where Black Panther, it's just him fighting Literally someone in his Black Panther suit.
But it's Michael B. Jordan, who's fucking awesome as Killmonger.
Yeah, and it sucks that we're not going to see him again.
Terrible CG.
Or will you? You won't probably.
I
but
don't
just in
think
case.
so.
Just
Yeah,
to
it'd be
future-proof.
cool.
He got unsnapped during the snap. Did you hear?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Nick?
I always thought we ranked this a little too low as well. I think I got outvoted, if I remember correctly, when we first reviewed this.
Me and you, Nick. Me and you.
I would have liked to have seen it a little bit higher, just because I think it is a unique movie amongst all of these. I think the style that goes a long way, and I'm right there with Kev. Like I think the character development that leads to that final fight and how he outsmarts Dormammu. We haven't seen something like that really. It's not just a I'll punch harder moment. It's a I've learned everything. Like I'll use everything I've learned along this journey to outsmart this final big baddie, and it really is fulfilling by the time we get to the end of it. So I would have put this. Again, I can never rank anything above Iron Man just because I love that movie so much. I'd probably put it right below that, if not, beside it. Can we do beside now?
No, you
Yeah,
can't.
sure.
We can share.
Sure,
Okay.
of course you
No.
can.
Yeah.
I think I think it's right where it belongs. I think going above. I think I just enjoy Black Panther too much as a movie to move it above that. And when we think of Far From Home, I enjoyed Far From Home's journey more, and I think that ending final sequence, similar to Nick mentioning, like it's not just a punch harder moment with Doctor Strange. Upon rewatching Far From Home recently, and just the sequence of him getting back to Happy on that jet, and the pulling at your heartstrings moment when Happy's kind of looking at him becoming the new Tony Stark, building everything on the fabricator, to the sequence where you think he has Jake Gyllenhaal dead to rights, and then he grabs the gun with a spidey sense. What a fucking awesome moment that is. And yeah, I think Far From Home is still above that. But again, Hawkeye, a little too high. Everybody, let's rethink that, maybe. Let's rethink that.
Hey, you were the deciding vote on that, so nobody blame but yourself.
33 for me.
For me, yeah, I think I would move it up, but in the same conversation we're having, I
Sorry.
would put it underneath Iron Man, and I would put Black Panther underneath that, and I would put Far From Home underneath that. Far From Home, whereas I like Doctor Strange and Black Panther more every time I watch them. Far From Home, I don't dislike it. It's just, I think it might have been a little bit, oh man, we really love Spider-Man and we came in a bit high. Whereas some of that, like the moments Andy just pointed out are great or whatever, but then also like the fucking effects they're fighting and shit like that, and the bus scene and everything else. It's kind of like, all right, well.
Yeah, for me, looking at our list in particular, it's like I don't agree with it, as none of us do exactly 1-to-1, but I do agree with it in terms of the tiers that we talk about. And I think that where Doctor Strange is here, it's in the right tier. And I do think that 1 through 17 on this list are all a very high tier. I think that for me, the toppest tier would probably end. I mean, I don't even know how many are in the God tier at this point, because it's just there's so many amazing ones. But I think Doctor Strange is very, very high up there. It's probably in the second tier of Marvel movies for me, and that's just how low that second tier goes, all the way halfway through the MCU. So shout out to them for continuing to kill it. Hopefully, Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness can keep it up. Has a lot to pull off, but my fingers are crossed. Let us know in the comments below how excited you are for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. We will return next week in review to get that done. And then we have a whole bunch of other cool in reviews coming up, just to give you guys a little tease of what we got going on. The week after Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, we will do Moon Knight. So we're getting a double dose of MCU rankings. And then that week, we're gonna do 2 interviews that week: Moon Knight and Jurassic World. Then the following week, we're gonna do a Star Wars Revenge of the Sith rewatch. The week before Obi-Wan Kenobi, to get all hyped up on that. And then the week after that, another week with 2 reviews with Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick.
Yes.
You're welcome, Nick.
Thank you, everyone.
Until next
You're welcome,
time.
world.
Have a marvelous day.